Now, David's parents met in a very unusual way back in the 50s. You see, there's a push for young women to write to young servicemen serving in the Korean War as pen pals to make them feel at home. Now, most young ladies that decided to do this would write to several servicemen, and the servicemen would do likewise. You can probably say this would be the same as online dating today. Now, David's parents were no exception to this. Frank was born in Piedmont, Alabama, joined the Air Force, and after the Korean War got stationed in Barksdale Air Force Base. One of the young ladies that he was pen pals with just happened to be Helen of Gerardville, Pennsylvania. As time went on, they got to like each more and more, and wouldn't you know it, they got married. Now, as mentioned before, Helen and Frank had four children: Laura, the oldest; David, whom this is about; Donna, the third in line; and Dale, the youngest. So, being born in Louisiana, that makes David a Cajun by birth, right? But, since David was a military brat, David traveled all over the place, and he did not stay a Cajun for long. In 1959, at the age of 3, the Dooleys, a family of 5 at the time, moved to Misao Air Force Base in northern Japan, where, in the winter, it would snow so hard and long that the snow would be over 4 feet tall. A little kid could easily be buried in it. Jumping to the year 1962, where the Dooleys, now a family of 6, moved to Little Rock Air Force Base in Little Rock, Arkansas. David is now 6 years old and going to school at Little Rock Air Force Base Elementary School. In the spring of 1963, near the end of his second grade year, David went on a field trip to the Arkansas state capitol in Little Rock to see President John Fitzgerald Kennedy. David was not only able to see President Kennedy, but shook his hand while he was sitting in his rocking chair that went with him on all his travels. Sadly enough, while attending the third grade at Jacksonville Elementary School on November 22nd, 1963, a little after lunch, they announced that President Kennedy was assassinated, and the school got dismissed early that day. I'm not sure of the time when the Dooleys visited his grave, but it was before the permanent grave site was even thought of, because there were 4 of those old black kerosene road flares around his grave, and with military personnel regarding it. There was a white picket fence around it, and you were able to walk around 3 sides of his grave. In 1965, Sergeant Dooley got stationed at Johnson Island, aka Bird Island, which is only 1.03 square miles. His job was a reconnaissance photographer, where he would be flown over Vietnam and take pictures of the land for future bombing missions. He sent David a lot of pictures while he was there, like bombs coming out of the bombers. While Sergeant Dooley was stationed at Johnson Island, Helen and the kids were back at Gerardville, Pennsylvania, staying with her parents, Helen and Thomas Bracy. David attended 4th grade at Gerardville Elementary School. While staying there, on Sergeant Dooley's free time at Johnson Island, he would do some deep-sea fishing, and on one of those fishing trips, he caught a tiger shark, sent David a picture of the shark alone with the eyes, which were preserved somehow. While at Gerardville, David was playing with his trading cards, and his younger brother Dale was playing with his toys, both of them in the living room, and Dale thought David was invading his space, and ended up throwing a garbage can, metal one at that, at David, hitting him on the back of the head and he had to go get like 6 stitches. With a brother like that, who needs enemies, right? Sergeant Dooley's tour at Johnson Island lasted only a year, and when his time was up, he went to Jardville unexpectedly and rang the doorbell early one morning. David was up playing in the living room and answered the door and ended up waking everyone in the house with his excitement on seeing his dad. The next stop for the Dooleys would be back to Japan. Sergeant Dooley got stationed at Fuji Air Force Base in September of 1966. Fuji was just a work base, so the family actually lived in Katanamori Housing Annex. David and his sister attended Chofu Elementary School. While in the fifth grade, David was one of the 5 students chosen for a student exchange program. For a period of almost a month, David went to a Japanese school.